Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Self-Made. I'm Grant Thompson.
And I'm Kris Krohn, here to talk to you about how you take an idea and determine whether it's really worthy to turn into your next business.
How do you take an idea and turn it into a profitable business? You know, something that you love and turn it into something that you're actually making money on. And I think if you sit down, there are a lot of things that you can do to find out what you're passionate about. Have you ever done those mental exercises where you think, what would I do if I didn't have a job or I didn't have to worry about money? You know, I think if you took 20 or 30 minutes and just sat down and figured out what you actually love to do, what your purpose on this earth really is, it could alter the course of your life. And if you have that purpose on earth, why not make money doing it? Why not have it sustain your life? I would want to suggest to you one of the best things that you could do is find a customer. You don't even need a business. Just go out and find a customer, use them as an experiment to find out what they want, and as you learn their needs, then you can develop systems and kind of get started. What methods do you use for turning an idea into a business, Kris?
So I love this conversation, Grant, because you're talking to two entrepreneurs right here, two individuals that are all about creating value in the world with the things that they believe in. And Grant's had an amazing journey and continues to have one in that. For me, I've been able to start more than a dozen different businesses. Some of them didn't always work out, but the more businesses that I've done, I've developed a very particular approach to determine what you really want to sink your teeth into and what's going to work and maybe what's not. There's a lot of ideas that people have out there for what they think could be a good idea. And I just for a moment want to liken this to American Idol, right? You take all of these people back when that was like the biggest airing show for the singing competition, and it would attract people from all different walks of life. It would produce a lot of people that had good voices. It had a lot of people that had horrible voices but didn't know it. And then you also had a handful of stars, people that just had the voices that were meant to be heard. And so it was interesting that people would watch American Idol and they want to hear the really good singers, but they're almost there just as much to hear the really bad singers that just don't know how horrible they are. And in life, we've got business ideas, and the reality is you don't know whether your idea is a brilliant idea or a horrible idea. And so before you get married to it and commit long term, you got to put it through a little bit of a test. Because by the way, Grant, when you got married, did you put your wife through any type of test to just kind of like, hey, I got to get to know you a little bit first. I want to find out whether you're a person I want to make the commitment to. Did you have some standards?
As she did to me, yes. We had a number of filters that we screened each other through.
And businesses deserve to have those same filters. So this is one of my filters.
I just want to say the last thing you want to do is think that you know what people want and try and sell that.
That's the problem.
Because you're going to find out what you think is never going to match.
Actually, almost most of the time, we can allow ourselves to spend months or years committed to ideas that were either really tiny niches or we were never going to have the level of success for. And yet, if we could go back and actually skip to the fourth idea instead of investing in the first, that's where we would have hit it big. And so how do you really know whether you've got the idea that you want to turn into a business? This is my 30-day test. What I'll do is I'll actually write down on a piece of paper, I'll take Grant's idea, who's my ideal customer, and then I'm going to get super specific, thank you, son. And I'm going to start writing down what is the business and what do I want to sell? And how many people in 30 days do I think would buy it? And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my crystal ball and I'm going to find out from real world 30-day experience how close I am to that being a reality or me being totally off my rocker. And listen, you got to go into this understanding that you might be totally off your rocker. You do not know what the world wants. And if you do, that type of myopic viewpoint is the one that's going to bury you. So we're going to do a 30-day experiment. That 30-day experiment is to know what you want to do, what you want to offer, put a price on it, and then have a guess of how well you think it'll perform in 30 days. And then what you're going to do for 30 days is you're going to do your best to sell that product as much as you can, to represent your business as best as you can. And then when the 30 days is done, you're probably going to find yourself in one of three camps. The first camp is, oh crap, almost nobody bought what I had to offer. The second camp is, wow, some people really liked what I had to offer. And then the third scenario is, people loved my product. And I want to talk about what you do if you're in one of those three camps.
I just want to break it down so I understand. So you're basically just giving yourself a small sample experiment and then taking it out to the real world to see what actually happens, so you have real data points that help drive what you do from there.
And really, we want to get you figuring out where does your idea really marry the world's expectations? Because here's the deal. If 30 days from now, your idea, it did not impress people and almost nobody wanted it, the question is, what do you do with that idea? Some would say, oh, if you're really committed to it, then you should tweak it. You should try for 30 days again. Do you know what I do when I have an idea that underperforms at that level, produces less than 10% of what I thought was possible?
Oh, wow.
I absolutely rip, RIP, kick it to the curb, bury it, and don't touch it. And this is where a lot of people, if you're married to your idea, are like, no. I have convinced myself this is the idea. So first of all, I'm gonna ditch the idea if it doesn't produce anywhere near the results of what I thought, because it means my version of reality was super off base.
Right.
However, if I have an idea and I actually pick up maybe 30, 40, or 50% of my goal, I actually probably have something that is worth diving into and tweaking and playing with.
Yeah.
And of course, the third scenario, if you actually
what were the percentages on that? 30, 40, 50%?
Yeah, I'm going for if I can produce a measure of what I thought was possible in 30 days. 30% to 50% would mean, hey, you know what? I wanted to produce 10,000 with this idea and I produced 3, 4, or 5,000. That has merit.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
I thought I could do 10,000 and I produced less than 1,000. Maybe your idea doesn't have as much merit as you actually thought. And then of course the third scenario is if you knock it out of the park, super, super valuable. Now what I want to do is I want to now take this experiment and I want to superimpose this on YouTube. And Grant, I'm going to put you on the spot here, obviously, because with self-made, we're showing people how to become self-made successes. That's this part of the video. But we want to talk about how do you actually apply that to YouTube, because YouTube is longer than a 30-day game.
Yeah.
So how do you take that and actually make that work in YouTube land?
Well, life is about experimenting, and I guess the only regrets sometimes come from chances you don't take. And with me, YouTube was just an expression of my hobbies, and I didn't feel like it was appropriate for me to try and make any money from anybody doing what I wanted. Just making the videos I felt was enough. Looking back on that now, there have been so many people that wanted to buy King of Random t-shirts or project kits or a lot of different merchandise. There's a lot of value that I could provide to people that they wanted to pay me for, and I denied them that opportunity because I didn't feel like making money on what I was doing actually validated my experience. That was just like a problem that I had, a bottleneck that I had with some of my own limiting beliefs. What I realize now is if you have something awesome to give, there are people who get so much value from that paying you is the least they can do. And so, using YouTube as a platform to attract an audience, to share a message, and to gather these people is wonderful. But it would be a service. You'd be doing them a service if you also had a way to translate that into some kind of products that came back and blessed their life, whether that's physical products or digital products or mentoring or courses or whatever you feel like you resonate with.
Yeah.
So, if I were to go back again, that's one thing I would do different is I would make products for the King of Random audience and make them accessible and available to them.
Now I want to talk about for just a moment how YouTube defies my 30-day experiment. Because if you're doing a real world backyard business, then that is the approach that I take to figure out whether I can sync with the market. But YouTube, if you have a product or information that is globally applicable, then all of a sudden it does change the leveling and it levels the playing field. This is what I love about YouTube. Because with YouTube, if you'll actually stick with it long term, the reality is whether you have a tiny niche or a broad niche, like for example, done-for-you projects, right?
Yeah,
That's actually a niche that a lot of people want to know about. And then there's other products, like for example, I've got a real estate channel. And that real estate channel, it's a much smaller niche. But the reality is there's people everywhere around the United States and everywhere around the world that want to learn about it. And so YouTube will open up doors for me that 30 days of backyard marketing never could. So listen, if you're just trying to start a business in your backyard, try out that 30-day experiment. But if you're going to apply YouTube to the game, then all of a sudden it changes the parameters and it changes the rules, because there's likely thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and maybe even millions that are interested in the things that you're interested in. And now we're going to go from a 30-day approach to a committed ultra long-term approach. But given that you have the right system, and obviously this is one of Grant's and my specialties, is what are the systems for rocking out YouTube? And you can hit our website where we can give you more details on how to get the team and the tools and the systems to make that happen.
I just want to mention something about the internet is they can be very forgiving. It's hard for us to open up and do something because we don't want to make a mistake. We don't want to make somebody mad. But if you're going to be making videos, you just have to accept that there are groups of people out there that are just naturally going to dislike what you're doing simply for the fact that you're doing it. So accept that and just realize that if you experiment and you get negative feedback, if you can make those changes and adapt and move forward, you'll actually gain more respect. You can't do something so terrible that it's going to kill your entire future on YouTube. If you are always trying to do the right thing, innovate, and do better, it's going to get better. And so when you're working with products, spend a lot of time marketing, find out what people like, take the feedback, and use that kind of a feedback to get enough information to develop the kind of product people are asking for. Don't assume that you know it, take the real world data points, and YouTube I think is a fantastic way to play around with that kind of information and get the instant feedback that you need.
All right, self-made superstars, thank you for joining us today. And hopefully your next idea, you get a chance to determine whether it's going to take you to the moon or not in the next 30 days, or jump on the YouTube bandwagon where you can go ahead and make that your great long-term success.
We're putting together a process that you can take yourself through to help identify your passions, turn it into a product, and turn it into a business. Make sure you click the link down in the description to go check out our self-made training. We put everything that we can think of into a package for you to help enable you for success. I don't know what that was, but that was awesome.
That was a killer bee.
Let's keep that.
Yeah, deal.